Fellow Falcoholics, what is up? Welcome to the Falcoholic Live's Falcons vs. Dolphins Week 7 post-game show. I'm your host, Kevin Knight, joined by two great co-hosts today. First of all, you see him. He's Eric Robinson at _Eric_Robinson. Eric, how are we doing today?
I'm doing all right, man. Yeah. We'll talk.
It's all right. Yeah, it's all right. It's mixed emotions, certainly, but yeah. Yeah. Also with us tonight, we have Adnan Yikic at Say Which Way. Adnan, how are we doing today?
Overall, great. The Braves just made the World Series last night.
Yeah, that's exciting.
Go Braves. Absolutely. I'm on the bandwagon now.
Yeah.
But regarding this game, it's a win's a win.
Yeah. I mean, it was it wins a win. We're going to talk about it, guys. I mean, there are definitely some good things about this game, definitely some very alarming things, but it's better to see the alarming things when you ended up coming away with the W. And look, we needed to get this win against this bad Dolphins team. The Dolphins did get a lot healthier going into this game. They had both of their starting corners back, Byron Jones and Xavier Howard, who had been out for quite a while. So, the defense of the Dolphins was always going to be a little bit better, but the Falcons' defense, on the other hand, started losing cornerbacks. They were dropping like flies in this one. Unfortunately, we don't really know the status of A.J. Terrell going forward. It's apparently a neck injury, not a concussion, which I guess is maybe good. I don't know. I can't really speak on that, but neither one of those sounds good to me. So that's alarming. Fabian Moreau left late, so.
I will say, you never like a neck injury. Like neck injuries can be very, very bad. However, AJ Terrell just had a concussion a few weeks ago, so it's getting into scary situations if he had another one. So
yeah, for sure.
If I had to choose, I'd say the neck is the lesser of the two evils.
Honestly, how I'm looking at this is it's kind of sort of similar to the Tampa Bay situation. Their secondary was just beat to hell with injuries as well, but they're able to somewhat mask it a little bit because of their pass rush, because of their defensive line, their ability to get after the quarterback. The Falcons don't have that ability. So the fact that the Falcons haven't had these injuries in the secondary makes the lack of pass rush even worse. Like it really exposes what was already a weakness for this defense, and it makes things look even bad. So
yeah, the lack of pass rush was pretty damning in this one. I mean, it was a big issue. The Dolphins were one of the worst offensive lines in football. The Falcons really couldn't take advantage of that, and that was why I think they were struggling so much. This is a team that was just feasting on dump-offs and this quick stuff, and the Falcons just weren't able to get any pressure. They had to blitz, and that makes you more vulnerable to that type of passing offense, that quick game. That's how the Eagles really, really destroyed the Falcons in Week 1, and this game felt oddly similar to that, except the difference was the Falcons' offense actually came to play, was functional, and was able to ultimately get the victory. And that's good, but there certainly are concerns here, and I'm sure you guys have a lot to say about that. Before I get to that, let me read off some stuff. I know we had some come in right before the show went live, so before I forget about those, let me get to some tips here from Solaire, talking about Ryan's fumble. 100% Galaxy brain was Ryan's fumble. He knew Miami was going to score, but them scoring on that long field would mean that we'd only have 20 seconds left in the game. So therefore, scoring on a short field gave us a chance to go down and kick the field goal. Also, Dan Quinn's team doesn't win the game. So
that's a way to describe it. Yeah,
there you go. Sure. Yeah, it was on purpose.
Dan Quinn's team lost this exact same game 4 years ago,
and they had an even bigger lead. So,
what game was that?
The Dolphins game,
the
where
cocaine
they lost
game.
in overtime.
Yeah.
After their coaches were snorting coke.
Yeah.
It's so many to filter through. It's like, okay, which one?
Yeah, they were also coming off a bye that week, and they were up 17-0.
Yep, they were.
Yes. Yep. Yeah. So far, Arthur Smith off a bye 1-0. So hey, already better than Dan Quinn ever was. But we got DeMonte 24 to $3. He says Kyle Pitts is a top 5 tight end already. Matt Ryan with multiple. Yeah, I mean, top 1, right?
That's a disgrace.
Matt Ryan with multiple deep balls.
Top 5 coming into the season.
Yep.
I mean, the tight end position is pretty shitty. You have the big three.
There's a massive drop off. Yeah.
Yeah, you have Kelsey, Kittle, and Waller, and I mean Kittle has been injured as usual. And then after them, it's like who's fourth? Mark Andrews, T.J.
Yeah, I
Hawkinson.
mean Mark Andrews probably,
Gronk
but
maybe.
yeah, I
Still?
think Mark Andrews is
Yeah.
still fourth, but Kyle Pitts is fifth and possibly climbing. Now if George Kittle's not in the equation because he's injured, then Pitts is fourth. Um, but yeah, Devontae continues that oh yeah, Matt Ryan's got a cooked arm with those multiple deep balls. Clearly, 500 feels good. So yeah.
Hey, you know what? Forget the deep arm. All right. Matt was zinging some of those passes in, man.
Yeah.
And the three big plays today on the side, the two to Kyle Pitts and the one to Gage for the touchdown, Matt just placed it in the bucket. Was it perfect? No, but man, it just cradled right into it just landed right into in the basket of the receiver, man. Kyle Pitts. Yeah. Kyle Pitts is amazing.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, he's absurd. He's absurd.
Should have went number 1 overall, Jacksonville.
Jacksonville with your bust quarterback, Trevor Lawrence now. But yeah,
if we're talking about like positionless, like positions don't matter, he was the most talented player in that draft.
Yeah, that's what we were
absolutely.
Saying. Like he was arguably the best talent in that draft, regardless of position, and he showed it today, man. God damn.
Yeah. I mean, it's absurd how good he is. And this is exactly what he looked like in college. That's the thing. It's like, oh yeah, this guy's gonna translate. He can dust people downfield. He's huge. He moves like a receiver. He's also can do some tight end stuff. He has the best hands I've ever seen, and like he showed it like on multiple catches today.
They bracketed him with an all-pro corner and a quality rookie free safety, and he still was able to make the catch.
Man, he was abusing Eric Rowe. They tried to play Eric Rowe in single coverage on him like at the beginning of the game. He just got annihilated, that poor man.
He threw Eric Rowe off of him for that catch. Oh, my God. Bro, Kyle Pitts is amazing, man.
Yeah.
God damn. Wow.
Yep. So I think that actually with this win, and people in the chat are pointing it out, that the Falcons actually move into third in the division because the Panthers are 3-4. So
they do. They move into third.
The Panthers have lost 4 straight. Sam Darnold got benched today for.
Does he get? Is he still benched next week though?
I don't think he is. I don't think he's benched. I think he starts, but I think he's on a much shorter leash.
But he's also still not very good, whether he plays or not.
He's playing the Falcons. He's going to be
well, hopefully these corners won't be missing next week's game. But if we're potentially missing Terrell, we need to sign somebody else because we can't be throwing TJ Green and Chris Williamson out there as like the 2 starting corners. That's just not going to work. Brian Poole's still out there. Go get my son, Brian Poole, for the love of God. Why has Brian Poole not been signed? Like that's what I want to know. But that's for Wednesday's show. All right, we got $10 from Artie's. Welcome back, Artie's. He says, finally back with a donation. Don't care if our D is shaky and wonky. They did get us a few stops. Matt Ryan created some nice drives at the end of each half. All the haters should shut up. Falcons win, baby. Yeah, I mean, the D is like shaky, but I think it's clearly talent at this point. Where I think under Quinn, some of those years, it was like, this defense really shouldn't be this bad. And now it's like, this defense is like, this defense has no talent, and like, oh, they got a few stops. That's what I think we thought was going to be this team going into the year, right? Which was the offense was going to have to win shootouts. The defense, we just needed them to make a few stops. And like, they had honestly played better than that before this game for the most part.
Guys, I think we can put together a field goal drive against that defense.
Yeah, the 3 of us, or do we get 8 more people?
We don't need 8 more. I think the 3 of us can line up against 11 of them, and we can get a field goal out.
The defense looked terrible, like for the most part. And the thing is, they looked really bad despite coming up with 2 huge turnovers, which took points away from the Dolphins. You had that big interception by Jalen Hawkins in the end zone right before the half.
Perfect play.
Yeah, absolutely great. And Jalen Hawkins, 2 straight games with an interception.
Trayvon Diggs, coming for you.
Yeah, I mean, how about that? Like, Jalen Hawkins is out there, being a ball hawk at this point. Like, legitimately, he had by far the best game of his young career against the Jets last week. I think PFF graded him out as like a 90 point something.
Yeah.
And then this week, That interception was huge because then the Falcons went downfield and kicked a
Got a
field
field.
goal right off of it. That's
Yep.
a 6-point swing because Miami was draining the clock.
Yep.
And then you had Foyolukin who got the interception right after Matt Ryan's interception, where it wasn't Matt Ryan's fault. Calvin Ridley just wasn't aggressive
We're gonna get to Ridley later.
in catching the ball, and he cost the team a turnover. But then the very next play, Foy gets the pick, goes right downfield, 54 yards, almost scores. I'm glad he didn't fumble on that catch because they were trying to strip him.
Yeah.
And then Cordero Patterson gets 7 points. That's 10 points off of turnovers that you got directly off those turnovers. And the Falcons are fortunate because a better quarterback doesn't make those picks. Those were two big mistakes by Tua, especially that second one. That was completely ill-advised. He was throwing the ball, trying to avoid getting sacked, threw it right to Foy. And, the defense, they got a couple big turnovers, but that's the only good thing I can say about them, because even with those turnovers, they still gave up 27 points against, a quarterback that, isn't really top 15.
Right.
Might not be top 20 if we're being honest.
But they definitely could have given up 40.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, outside of the mistakes, I thought Tua did play a good game. Like, he had those bad mistakes, but
this was a get right game for Tua, like legitimate, because he didn't look this good against the Jags.
No,
he hasn't looked this good, maybe ever, outside of those two picks in the NFL.
Yeah, and I think it's the pass rush. I mean, honestly, it's the Jags could get pressure on him, the Falcons couldn't, and like when he had a clean pocket, he delivered. Like, honestly, most of his throws were on target. He had a lot of difficult throws that he connected with. He played a good game, and that's mostly, I think, it's not that these games aren't into it, but he's been really struggling with pressure in the NFL, and the Falcons just could not pressure him. The couple of times that they did, we got some picks out of it. So
as much as I really like Tua, especially as a person, every week with his mistakes, it makes me truly wonder how much that the talent around him in Alabama really mask this issue, because this wasn't a problem. This wasn't really a red flag for him in Alabama. And you thought it was because he was becoming a quality NFL quarterback. But as the weeks go by, it just makes you, wonder even more, like, man, the fact that he had prime NFL talent around him, this guy was playing as playing at Mississippi State or something like that, or Kentucky. Tua may not have been drafted, or he would have been a day 3 guy. So the mistakes, it's not really the mistakes. It's just the decision making that comes down to Tua. Like, a lot of the mistakes that he makes are just, what the hell are you thinking? It wasn't an issue where he just made a great throw and the opposing defense just made a play on it. His mistakes are just, what the hell did you see? I remember the Patriots game in week 1. He made the throw. He made the interception when he was getting hit by Judon. And he just threw the ball in the air. Literally, it was like a punt. It's those type of plays, man. Like,
exactly.
Yeah. And the worse he does, the better it makes the Chargers scouting department look, because they were getting some heat for taking Herbert over him, because Tua was, at the beginning of that college football season, he was looked at as, the guy, as the number 1 guy. And obviously Joe Burrow, came from Ohio State, had that legendary season at LSU. He took that mantle, but people were questioning the Chargers. Plenty of people that, you're taking Herbert over him when Tua essentially fell in your lap, so to speak. But man, it was.
I know this is a Falcon show, but let me ask you guys this question: does today's performance push the envelope even more for a possible Deshaun trade?
I mean, I don't think if I'm the Dolphins, I'm like, oh, I have to get rid of Tua. I always thought the Dolphins feeling like they had to move on from Tua was a little bit premature. I guess that's just me. Like, I feel like it's their offensive line, really. I mean, I think they did well against the Falcons today, but that's not really an accomplishment at all. They've been like arguably the worst offensive line in football. So I mean, I think if I'm them, I'd rather keep my picks and put a better offensive line around Tua. But I guess if you're planning to not address your offensive line and just to have a bad offensive line, Deshaun Watson's really good at playing with a bad offensive line. So, maybe that is the answer then. But I'm not interested in trading for Deshaun because of everything surrounding Deshaun.
I was gonna say I think it's different factors are revolving around the Deshaun thing because Deshaun's clearly a better quarterback than Tua. Like he is at this point.
It has to be his play that's driving this. I mean, if he was slightly better, they wouldn't even have this conversation. What's the point of entertaining bringing in a guy like Deshaun?
Yeah, they wouldn't, but they were having this conversation in the offseason too.
Yeah, because they were ready to give up on him.
Yeah, and because I think they see that Tua is not that generational quarterback that's going to, take you where you want to be as a franchise. Deshaun Jackson on the field is. And
Has he had a full season of starts yet?
Tua?
Tua?
I guess technically.
No, he started in, I think, week 6 of last season. They benched Fitzpatrick for him, and he was hurt for a couple of games this year.
Yeah, I guess it's like you drafted a rookie, you kind of have to, really high. I feel like you have to see it through, and I don't think I think since he's come back from injury, he's played well enough to where I'm not like, oh, we have to move on from this guy. Like,
I mean, he's played the Jaguars and the Falcons.
Yes, that is, important to note, obviously. But you're just going from one guy, one risk to another with Deshaun Watson. Like, does Deshaun Watson even play again?
He has 14 career starts, so he doesn't even have a full season worth of starts under his belt.
Yeah. So it's just, I think it's too early to make that sort of move because, maybe Houston's willing to take like 1 first for Watson now instead of like the 2 or more they were asking for before.
No. Oh, Houston's the price tag is big.
Big. They might be worried like, oh, does the NFL rule and say he's no longer eligible to play and then he's worth nothing, so we'll take a first now. Like, I don't know, but
reportedly the Dolphins have the best offer on the table. But again, this is a Falcon show.
This is a Falcon show.
And speaking of it, like the Dolphins do have a very, very poor offensive line, one of the maybe the worst in the NFL, and the Falcons, other than a handful of instances, a couple times they really got no pressure on him.
Yeah, exactly.
And of course, they're missing Dante Fowler. Dante Fowler has been the team's best pass rusher this year. He's on IR. Leads the team in sacks with 2, which isn't saying too much. Leads the team in QB hurries, and he's been excellent in run defense. I feel like Fowler has done his job for the most part this year, but Dante Fowler isn't exactly Aaron Donald out there to where you missing him will have this immense drop off on your defensive line. Or he's not TJ Watt, he's not prime JJ Watt. He's a solid defensive end, which for the Falcons is really good because we don't have many of those.
He's a solid complement.
Yes,
doing a elite pass rusher.
Yeah. So the thing is, this just shows just how terrible this pass rush is, just how thin the secondary is, just the complete lack of talent. Yeah. And I think the more we see just how poor this talent is, the more and more it's an indictment on Thomas Dimitroff for leaving this franchise with just the bottom of the barrel when it comes to what we have on defense, through all those missed draft picks, through all those misses in free agency. And not only that, but he also left this team incredibly cash strapped to the point where I'd see that as another owner, and I'd be like, I don't want to give this dude a job.
Right.
I feel like any franchise that gives Thomas Dimitroff a general manager job will be making a mistake, and they'll deserve all of the poor play that'll come from that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's not only that, but the as you mentioned, not only with Dimitroff, but the coaching staff as well, for years where they just refused to stockpile quality depth. They lean on guys like Tack and Beasley to develop, and they never really brought in guys behind them to help help them develop, to provide that depth. And now this is when Tack and Beasley are gone, this is what they're left with. They're left with just practice squad guys, basically.
Yeah,
so it's awful, man. I just I know they're cash strapped right now, but like we always say, especially in the Falcoholic group chat, the the cap, it's a myth. Like teams can work around
You
a
can
few
work
things.
around it.
And I'm after 6 games, I'm looking at this team and I'm thinking like they can't look at this collection of pass rushers and say, all right, we'll get them again next week. Like, come on, man. Like this is
Well, yeah.
pathetic.
No, like you're right, and I think they absolutely could have maximized this year's roster more if they wanted to. I think that's obvious that they could have, but I think they made the decision to sort of clear up a lot of this bad money and not sign anything that was going to affect 2023 in particular
So
this
your
year.
solution
So
is
they
to bring on Means and Brandon Copeland and
well,
say, go get them, guys.
Well,
Wait,
I
what?
think this whole belief that like, oh yeah, we're gonna be competitive this year. Like, I think they wanted to be like this. Like, we're like a 500 team, maybe getting frisky for a wild card spot. That's what they were talking about, not like Super Bowl contender competitive. And like sooner or later, you either have to pay the cap or like have a year where you're gonna go cheap. Like you have to manage it somehow, and like I think this is the year they're trying to go cheap, basically, and
I
this
get
is the
that.
roster that bought. Yeah.
That I get, but I don't think going out and getting a guy like maybe Brian Kerrigan would have killed them. Like it
No,
wouldn't
no,
have. It
exactly.
wouldn't have. I would have been a lot more dependent on Kerrigan late in the game than Steven. Steven Means can't hold the edge to save his goddamn life. Like Jesus Christ, how many
Yeah,
edge
love the
rushers
guy.
are
Sounds like a
gonna
great
have?
teammate, a great sort of end of the roster guy to have around. Can do a lot of stuff decently, but like he can't be your starting edge defender.
Man, like come on. Like it's I get what you're saying. Like, yeah, they didn't need to cramp what was already a bad financial situation. Sure, don't go out and overpay. But if you got if you got veterans that are out there that, in my opinion, can provide better play, even at this stage of their career, than what you have, I mean, it's not going to kill you to sign these players to a 1 year deal and just say, show me what you got. Like it wouldn't have killed them. But you
Yeah,
keep trotting out this type of shit, and this is what we get. You play offenses with bad offensive lines, with quarterbacks with questionable decision making, and they still throw for goddamn 300 yards and 4 touchdowns. Like what the hell? Come on, man. It's,
yeah. I mean, it's clearly not like the talent on defense. We've been saying it. The talent is deficient. It's very deficient, and like we knew this going into the season, and they've played. I think also what we said was like I think we all thought that Dean Pease would probably get more out of them than the talent suggested, and I think he's done that so far. Now they haven't been a good defense, but they've been good enough for the Falcons, other than like the first 2 games of the year, to be in contention. So now that the offense, and we should probably talk about the offense too, because that was actually very good.
yeah, they were pretty good today.
Like now that the offense has sort of become functional and like better than functional even, the defense doesn't have to carry the load anymore. This is not a defense that can carry the load. This is a defense that maybe you ask them to make a handful of stops a game, to keep things close, and then the Falcons offense has to take over. And the Falcons offense did just enough in this game to do that, but they scored 30 points. I think the Dolphins defense is better than their stats suggest because they've been missing a lot of players. They were banged up. They finally now have Byron Jones and Xavier Howard, who are two of the highest paid corners in the NFL, back on the field for them. And the Falcons defense, or the Falcons offense, excuse me, played a great game against them. Kyle Pitts obviously is great. That's a good opportunity for me to let George Costanza take another victory lap, with his $5 donation here. He wants, he's asking us, how do we feel about Pitts now? Seeing as we missed out on Fields. I don't think any of us are upset with Pitts. Certainly, I think we do.
No.
We are very much enjoying Kyle Pitts at this
We
point.
just had our intuition was telling us that the team was going to go in a certain direction, possibly.
Yes.
So,
and I still think Justin Fields is going to be a good quarterback. But look,
absolutely.
If the offense can be this good, if the offense can be better than this over the next few years and compete for a Super Bowl, then it makes a lot of sense for the Pitts pick. And we're going to be talking about it constantly.
And with Pitts, I definitely, the expectations when you draft someone at the highest that their position has ever been, and when you sacrifice that opportunity cost of giving up on a potential franchise quarterback, there are, fair or not, there are immense expectations on Kyle Pitts and that player whom you drafted, to the point where like it's Hall of Fame level expectations. Like
Yeah.
legitimately, I feel like if you polled the fan base right now, yeah, I feel like the majority, over 50%, would say that they expect Pitts to end up with a gold jacket one day. Now, this is incredibly premature.
This is very premature, yes, but
Yeah, incredibly premature. However, I will say he's better than I thought he would be 5, 6 weeks into his career.
Mhm.
I did not think Kyle Pitts would be out there having 130-yard receiving games where he looks, and he is without a doubt the best weapon on the field for the
Yeah,
Falcons. Like he is the
163.
best player on the field right now. He was today. He was against the Jets. I thought we would get to that in year 2, year 3. I did not think it would be this soon, because Kyle Pitts, he looked like a mismatch, and he has started figuring it out quickly. Like
yeah.
the game has started slowing down for him very, very quickly.
Hmm.
He had
Yeah.
163 yards today, 23 yards per catch.
And he had some big catches. The Giants game, this game, and the Jets game, he started the drives out with massive. Well, he didn't start the game out with the drive out with the Giants, but he made the big catch against the Giants to put the team into field goal range this week, and against the Jets on that final drive. He was down the seam, getting the big receptions. Like he is making clutch catches too. It's not just he's out there doing all of his work in the first, second quarter. He's out there during money time.
That kind of got the ball rolling for him, right? That fourth quarter drive against the Giants.
Yeah.
That really set things. That really set the table for him, in my opinion. Those were two massive catches.
Yeah, and he also had the big pass interference penalty against the Giants to set up the first touchdown for the Falcons in that fourth quarter. Because before that, I don't think he had a single target in the first 3 quarters of that game.
Right.
And the first 2 games, it was like hit or miss. It was okay. He didn't really play much in the Eagles game, not in the red zone. Nobody on offense did anything against the Eagles. Against the Patriots, against the Bucks, it was okay. But then from that fourth quarter on, he's looked like he's been the best tight end in the NFL over the past 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I think
Absolutely.
so. Especially with Kelsey and the Chiefs offense as a whole sort of in a bit of a slog here.
They look really bad today.
Yeah, that was incredible to me. I can't believe that. But yeah, let me. This is going to be a good. We'll continue on the offensive discussion here. Before I do that, want to remind folks. Thank you all for tuning in. All 250 plus of you, all of the usuals, all of the new folks. Thank you guys so much. Just want to let you know you can check out. Please do like and subscribe. By the way, if you haven't done that already, those both help us out a lot. If you're enjoying this Falcons discussion, if you want to help support the show, want to get access to some exclusive content, all that cool stuff, you can check out our Patreon page, patreon.com/Falcoholic Live. And also, if you're interested in sending in a comment for us to read, just type in !tip in the chat, or check the show description for the link for that system to do that. Thanks to everyone who's done that so far. And speaking of that, we've got Artie's with an $8 tip here. He says, this is for you. Well, it's not for you, Eric, but I know you want to talk about Calvin Ridley. So he says, what's up with Ridley? Did they cut off his hands? Hard to watch this season. Also, we need to get Younghoe Koo on the show. Everybody loves Koo. Yeah, strong agree with you there on the last part for sure.
Right
we talked about it before the show, guys. I think we need to go ahead and start the Younghoe Koo for MVP campaign. Like let's have a little more fun this year. This is definitely not going to be a winning season or a playoff season, in my opinion, but we can definitely put a spin on a few things, and Younghoe Koo has come up big, 2 game-winning field goals this year.
Yeah. Koo has been awesome as usual. Koo is just amazing, but
especially for a guy
that had his cleats stolen this offseason.
Right? That's wild, man. I still can't believe that actually was the thing we had to talk about. But yeah, so what about Calvin Ridley here? Should we be worried about Calvin Ridley now after another game where he seemed to struggle a bit? I mean, he got absolutely clobbered on that one drop. Like, I don't blame him for that one. That was a brutal hit. But there were some other ones where he struggled to hold on. And he also made some crucial plays, including an absolutely key third down conversion late in the game. So
He's not a wide receiver.
Yeah, I mean,
He's not a wide receiver one. And the reason why I say he's not a wide receiver one, it has nothing to do with height, weight, none of that shit. Tyreek Hill is a wide receiver one in Kansas City, and he's smaller than Ridley. Antonio Brown was a wide receiver one for years in Pittsburgh, and he's pretty much the same size as Ridley. To me, one qualification that you need to be considered a wide receiver one is dependability on just about every down. And I'm going to be quite honest with you. I like Calvin on first and second down. On third and fourth down, I might be looking a different way, simply because of that aspect. He made a clutch catch today on third down, but look at the other two plays that he had. That could have been, both of them could have been turnovers, because that was close to being a fumble. He was one more step away from that being a fumble. That big hit he took across the middle from Holland. But those two plays tell me what I need to know about Calvin Ridley. And it's the fact that I don't need you to be Julio or DeAndre when it comes to size and speed. I just need you to make certain catches on certain downs. You're the money on money downs. It didn't matter who was covering Julio Jones. Matt was going to look his way, and he was going to throw him the ball on third down, because that's just who Julio was. I don't think he can do that same thing right now with Calvin Ridley on third.
Oh, no, the comparison is there because both Calvin and Julio weren't there on third downs. I'm kidding.
Wow.
That was a nice setup for me for
great
Julio
job.
Jones.
Yeah.
Calvin Ridley. This year, it's been a disappointment overall this season. Like, he has not been the wide receiver one that we were expecting him to be. And, it was a fair expectation, because last year when Julio was out of the lineup, Calvin Ridley played amazing. Like, he was fantastic, aside from that game against Green Bay, where Jair Alexander just, put him in a straitjacket for no receptions. Is it fair to say that Kyle Pitts has already taken over that wide receiver one role?
Yes.
I mean, some of that obviously had to do with Ridley, like, literally not being there that other game. But
even take away that other game, like overall in the season.
Look on the last drive today. Where did Matt go?
We went to Pitts.
Exactly.
Early. He didn't even look at anybody else.
Yeah.
Pitts was double teamed. Pitts was bracketed by Howard and Holland over the top, and he still went in his direction.
Yeah.
Like, it's just those are the signs that I need to see right now. Honestly, if we're looking at comfort level, who do you think Matt Ryan is probably more comfortable with right now? He's probably more comfortable with Pitts.
I think Arthur Smith is clearly. I mean, I think it's also the offense too, right? And like Arthur Smith's offense is I think it's set up a lot better for someone like Kyle Pitts than Calvin Ridley. But that also leads to the same discussion, which is, are the Falcons wanting to pay Calvin Ridley $20 million a year?
No, absolutely
to play in this offense.
So what is Arthur supposed to do from here on out? Not call plays for Calvin?
No, he should, but it's exactly. It's just it's not as ideal. Yeah,
I get tweaking the offense here and there to fit certain comfort levels of Calvin. Yeah, there are certain routes that he runs probably better than others. He's better on the drag route, in my opinion. He's better on the drag route, better on corners, out routes, those type of things. Yeah. But those routes are taking him away from contact. This is an offense that is not really going to stress the deep levels, is not really going to stress the perimeter of a defense. Like, you're going to have to do some work in the middle of the field in this scheme. That's just how it is. And that's not his thing. And I don't get it. He's not a huge guy. He's not going to be able to shoulder a lot of those big hits from safeties. But god damn, man, even the pick to Howard,
that was all Ridley.
Even that one looked like, he was fearing a hit and he just couldn't concentrate on the damn catch.
Don't get me wrong. The ball was thrown slightly behind him, but he got both hands on it, and he just let Howard take the ball from him.
Yeah. the hands have just not been there for Ridley this year, and
Yeah,
hopefully that can change because the hands haven't been a constant problem for him
bro,
throughout his
I'm
career.
telling you, it will be a cold day in hell before Julio Jones allows a defensive back to just take the ball
Take
from
the
him like
ball
that.
from him like that.
Yeah.
Like again, it's not. Again, it's something you don't even really see from a guy like Antonio Brown, who is, like I said, same height, same sizes as Ridley. But those are just things that certain receivers don't do. If I get my hands on the ball, you're not going to take it from me.
Yeah.
There are just times I see from Calvin where, again, I honestly believe on that particular play, he had both hands on it, was able to pull it to his hip. But I honestly believe he was anticipating a hit. And
Yeah.
to me, the hands are one thing to question, but honestly, I think the concentration aspect itself, when it comes to him being a receiver, is probably the bigger red flag, because I think this guy is fearing what could happen if he catches a ball and it prevents him from pulling these catches in.
Yeah, and it's this Arthur Smith offense is gonna ask you to make a lot of contested catches. It's just like the
Yes.
bread and butter. It's mostly intermediate stuff. It's a
Yes.
lot of crossing. It's a lot of digs. It's
Yes.
a lot, and you just have to be able to do that.
You just
And I
have to.
think under Dirk Cutter, Ridley got to have a lot more targets downfield and stride, kind of late breaking, deep crosser, that sort of stuff, like
Right.
where you don't have to necessarily make that contested catch all the time. Or if you do, you're making it in sort of an advantageous situation for you
Right.
as the receiver. And
Right.
it's a different style of receiver that succeeds at those two things. And I still think Ridley could be a very, very good deep receiver. I mean, he was the best in the league in 2020.
But we pointed that out about this scheme. They're very selective when it comes to the deep ball. You saw
they're
that
not going to
last
throw
year.
that ball a lot. Yeah.
It's not, yeah. So you're gonna have to eat at the intermediate level, and you're gonna have to take what that defense is giving you, because as you can see with Pitts, those holes, those holes in the zone are wide open, even for a guy that's 6'6". There are times where he's like, how is he that open for a big guy like himself? And it's just like, that is where Calvin's going to have to live.
Yeah.
But Calvin is probably not going to want to live there. And if that
No.
is the case, I cannot depend on him on 3rd and 4th down.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
I will
yeah,
say
yeah.
the good news about this happening now is it's happening before the Falcons gave him a big contract.
Yes, and I think that's why they picked up the 5th. I mean, I think that's why you should almost always pick up the 5th-year option if you have a good player, but you're not sure about his fit.
And I'm just saying, like, situation wise, if if Arthur Smith came and became the head coach after the Falcons, for example, gave Calvin Ridley like a new 4-year contract, like, we would be looking at that contract like an albatross, right now, because I absolutely am firmly against paying Calvin Ridley like one of the best wide receivers in the NFL, because he will be looking for something in that $18 to $20 million a year range based on what he's done before.
Yep.
And I am firmly against the Falcons giving him that kind of money.
That is where that market value is right now.
It is.
If you're looking at free agency for him next year.
Yeah, and I think, we're definitely going to get to the point. Brandon Brass with $3 says, I believe I asked about him being wide receiver 1 last show, and you did, Brandon. It's definitely a topic of a lot of discussion, and it's I think he could be the wide receiver 1 for a lot of teams. Like, I think in Kansas City, he'd be a great fit there. In the same way that they use Tyreek Hill, I think they throw a lot more deep stuff. I just think that the Falcons don't necessarily throw it deep enough to where a deep specialist like Ridley is going to be worth the type of money that he's going to be asking for. So that's kind of where I am with Ridley. But, I know, guys, people know that I'm a big fan of Drake London. He's probably playing himself like out of the Falcons draft range because I think the Falcons are probably going to go after someone on like day 2. But, I think it's very, very likely that this team drafts a wide receiver relatively high.
There's a couple guys that definitely intrigue me on day 2.
Yeah. Or after a trade down or something like that. Like if they could trade down into the 20s or something like that.
That includes a guy like George Pickens from Georgia.
Oh no, like a dog? Like you're actually advocate?
Yeah, George Pickens. Chris Altman-Bell from Minnesota. Those guys intrigue me a lot. Romeo Dubs from Nevada. Big receivers that are able to make plays pretty much everywhere. But when you need in this particular scheme, when you need that big receiver that's able to make those contested catches, kind of sort of like what AJ Brown did in Tennessee under Arthur Smith, those guys kind of fit the bill there.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I like Drake London a lot. I loved him from his tape last year, and I was like, this guy looks like a great fit to replace, Julio Jones. And he's an alpha. He's totally an alpha receiver. I think he's a great complement to what the Falcons have, in Kyle Pitts.
That offense would be fun.
Yeah.
If they were to somehow bring back like Cordero, and then you have London, Cordero, and Pitts in that scheme, 6, guys that are 6'2", 6'3" plus, big bodies.
I think that's what they want.
Man, that'd be fun.
That's what they want. That's what they did in Tennessee, and like they're fine with having a smaller slot guy. But like I don't think they use the slot receiver enough to pay somebody. So it's like let's see what we have in Austin Trammell. Let's go get a big bodied receiver, on day 2. And let's obviously they're gonna run it back with Ridley for at least 22 with the 5th-year option, unless someone comes with like a great trade offer. I mean, I don't think you're itching to get rid of Ridley or anything like that, but
I'm looking at that 5th-year option next year, man. Even just for that 1 year, that price tag is going to be.
It's pricey.
I'm going to be questioning that price tag. Like, is he really even worth that? Like,
and then you have to consider the franchise tag after that.
Right.
No,
No, I mean, I think there's still a lot of time left in this season, and it's possible we see, a better usage of Ridley going forward, and as he comes back from his absence and that sort of thing. But I think Ridley's around for 22 more than likely, and then we see, hopefully we get to see Drake London, next year or somebody like that. And then we're to a place in 23 where we're comfortable letting Ridley walk or something
based on him playing better, I think is going to require Arthur Smith to make too much of a change to his offensive scheme.
Yeah.
Because you're gonna require him to add in certain passing concepts that you don't often see. And it's like, why? Because I mean, it's going to change up so much at that point, because you're already working with certain things, having mismatches at X and Z receiver with Pitts, and even at times having Hurst out there, having Cordero Patterson out there. But if you change these concepts, you're going to have to change that aspect as well. You're going to have to change the formation aspect, which is really helping them over the past few weeks. And it's just, that's too much.
Yeah.
I don't see it. To me, it's more like either buckle up or get the fuck out of here.
Yeah. I agree. And like I think honestly, you look at the offense the first couple of weeks where Ridley was basically the focal point, and it was an offense that struggled a lot. And it's definitely not Ridley's fault, but I think the offense has moved more towards Kyle Pitts and moved more towards Cordero Patterson, and I think it's been better for it. But I think there's room for Ridley to be the receiver that gets the targets in that offense. It just hasn't seemed to have worked out yet.
He has to get over this mental funk that he has. But I mean, but this is when you say, when you're in the offseason, this is when you go out in publicly and say, hey, I'm here. Julio's not around, but I'm the next guy up. When you go out and make statements like that, you got to make the plays, man. Like, it's just the plays are there, and for you to make a statement like that, defenses are paying attention. So defenses are like, all right, we're going to give you the attention that you want. You're the wide receiver 1, so we're going to treat you as such. And he just hasn't. Nah, man.
Yeah, and hopefully we'll see Ridley bounce back and have a stronger finish to his season than start. But I think it's a worthwhile conversation that we're having here, and I think it will continue probably over the course of the season and into the offseason. Yeah.
This is the game for him, Kevin, to have that, like, see, I told you.
Right.
This is the opportunity for him.
I mean, it was tough matchups. Like, I think he saw Byron Jones for most of the game. He saw Xavier Howard, too. Like, those are 2 very, very good corners. Like, 2 of the highest paid corners in the NFL. Now,
dinged up coming in, and it was still a leaky pass defense by the Dolphins.
It is. Yeah, but most of those stats came without those 2 in the lineup. So it's like, that's something to consider. I don't think the Dolphins as a whole are a good defense, but we mentioned it, and it's showing out that Kyle Pitts seems to be the number one target in the offense. So
Is that a bad thing?
I don't think it's a bad thing. No, I think Kyle Pitts is one of the best targets in the NFL. So
even the fact that we're running an offense where your rookie tight end is your primary option.
It depends on how good the rookie tight end is. Because if the rookie tight end is
not a
not good, then
regular
that's a
rookie
problem.
tight end.
Yeah,
He's not. But okay, let's go back to this then. After Julio was traded, if someone would have told us after that fact that at some point early in the season, Kyle Pitts is going to be the primary number one option on the Falcons in the passing game, how would you have guys? You guys would have felt like, okay, the first question that probably would have came to your mind is, well, what the hell happened to Ridley, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure Georgia would have called it.
Probably.
I'm pretty sure he did.
Yeah.
George probably said Pitts will lead the league in yards and touchdowns this year, more than likely.
Yeah. I don't know if he'll catch that mark now, but
most yards by a rookie tight end since 1970 in the first 6 career games.
Yeah, and the only rookie tight end ever who went over 1,000 was Mike Ditka in 1962, which is absolutely insane.
Right, especially. Yeah. I mean, it seems like Pitts is on track to surpass that number.
He's on track, but also let's not forget Ditka only played in 14 games that year.
Exactly. Yeah.
And
in terms of yards per game,
Yeah, he also had 14 touchdowns, which I still can't get over that stat line in 1962.
Yeah, ridiculous.
Wasn't it around that same era where Dick Night Train Lane had 14 interceptions in the season?
Oh man. That's an amazing name.
It was the 50s or 60s.
Record for most picks in the season. That's crazy.
It was the 50s or 60s. It may have been the 50s.
That 1,000 yards by Dick, that was considered 2,000 yards back then.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
exactly.
Easily. and what's funny is after that, Ditka never reached 1,000 yards again.
Yeah.
No. Still a really good player, obviously, but just that was just such an incredible number for a receiver back then to get that sort of yardage, especially at tight end.
Night Train Lane had 14 picks in 1952, which is an NFL record. He also had 2 pick sixes that year, and then in 1954 he had 10 interceptions.
And he also cursed the Lions in 1958 for 50 years, apparently.
Yeah. Wow. That's crazy, man.
But yeah,
I don't believe in curses, but 50 years later they went 0-16.
No,
well, hey,
Falcons team.
Right? Yeah, there might be some kind of curse there. That's for sure.
I don't know, man.
I don't know. It's a little sketchy, but guys. Yeah.
Hey, bro, I'm telling you, it could be a great week to kill that narrative in Atlanta sports this week.
That would be great. We could
Braves.
Go Braves. Yeah, for sure. I'm not allowed to watch the Braves ever because the only time I ever watched a Braves game, I was at a Buffalo Wild Wings, and I watched it for 3 minutes, and then Ronald Acuna Torres got hurt. So then Gina told me I could never watch the Braves again. So that's where I am with that. But I will cheer from outside the TV.
Hey, all the neutrals are cheering for the Braves in this one.
Yes.
The Astros are a bunch of dirty cheaters.
I do miss Acuna, man. Honestly,
Yeah.
All jokes aside, I do miss him, man. He was just great for the sport, and I hated the type of backlash he got from those old school baseball lovers.
No, it was bullshit.
It
was bullshit. He was getting that backlash from some of his own teammates too, which was also bullshit.
Come on, man. Let the guy enjoy the game. That's exactly what he's doing.
You're not allowed to have fun in sports, Eric. That's not how this works.
Bullshit. It goes back to exactly what I said about Cam Newton in his MVP year. You don't like the fact that he's dancing? Don't let his ass score then. How about that?
Yep, exactly. You got to.
Yeah, and I do like that baseball has kind of gone more toward accepting the eccentricism in the sport because now it's the bat flips are now more common practice. They had that let the kids play marketing initiative a few years ago. So, baseball is definitely catering more toward the younger generation to survive because,
needs to.
Yeah, because who gives a fuck what those old farts think? I don't care about their old school playing with class. No, I don't care about my.
Nobody has class anymore.
Supposed to run the bases and not say anything. I just hit a grand slam to win the game. I'm about to scream everything, dude. All that.
Yep.
Nah, man.
Yeah, I like eccentricism with my players. Trae Young is great for the Hawks. He's great for the sport. Acuna great for the sport.
Fernando Tatis is great for the sport too.
Yeah, bro, man, I wish Matt Ryan would do a handstand after scoring a touchdown.
I would like to see that, actually. I think
we
he
just-
is athletic enough to do such a thing, but I
We
maybe
just
don't
gotta
risk
take
it.
the generic fist pump and fuck yeah, and just call
Yeah.
it a day. That's
I
all.
mean, that's
we're
pretty
gonna
good. I mean, I like that for Matt Ryan. It's like,
I remember, I think it was like Kendall or something. Someone was posting like this Madden highlight of like Matt Ryan scoring a touchdown, and then he does a full-on backflip after that as like the celebration.
Oh my god, that's ridiculous. I would pay good money to see Matt Ryan do a
Bro,
backflip.
oh my god! Like, just give the Falcons the win at that point. If Matt Ryan's doing that,
if he actually pulls that off, that's hard for someone of his size to do. Like when you're like 6'4", it's really hard to do a backflip.
and not really athletic.
Yeah, hey, he's athletic compared to the average person.
I guess.
I think he was like a decent athlete at quarterback. He just doesn't, he's just a beautiful gazelle person when he runs. Like a baby gazelle, I guess.
Sure. All right,
Just
Kevin.
very long limbed, But anyway, guys, thank you for tuning in to the Falcoholic Live. Check out our Discord server. The link is right there. It's also in the show description. Please like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. Check out the Patreon page. The next Patreon Q&A is coming up soon, probably next week sometime. So stay tuned for that. Link to that is patreon.com/Falcoholic Live. Appreciate everyone who's supporting us there. Everyone who's tipping, donating, talking in the chat, just tuning in. We appreciate all you guys so much for that. Before we take off, want to thank my co-hosts this evening for their contributions. First of all, Eric Robinson. He's on Twitter at @Eric_Robinson. Eric, anything you want to let the people know about?
Yeah, be on the lookout on, I believe it's Tuesday, for the 5 things we learned from this game. And yeah, I got a couple things I'm going to throw out there.
Yeah, absolutely. Check that out, guys, for sure. Oh, we got a late tip from George. I'll make sure to get that after we give Adnan his time to shine. It's $10.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's definitely worth reading. Yeah, if you squeeze in a $1 after the the sign off, maybe it goes to Wednesday's show. But for George, anything. All right. Also with us, Adnan Ikic at Say Which Way on the Twitters. Adnan, anything you're working on you'd like to plug?
Yeah, Fantasy Stud and Dud will be going tomorrow. So yeah, check that out.
Yep, absolutely check that out as well, guys. All right, from George Costanza, the final word will be, Adnan, you doubted me when I said the Braves would make the World Series. Never doubt destiny. Screw the cheating Astros. Let's go Braves. Chop on those strikeouts.
Let's go Braves. Hey, I will say the Braves have surprised me. I legitimately thought after the Acuna injury that it just wasn't our year.
I'm here.
Yeah,
but because you had Soroka tearing his Achilles, walking, tearing his Achilles again. Acuna tearing his ACL.
Yep.
The Marcell Ozuna fiasco.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh my God.
And the Braves went out there, trade deadline, loaded up, which I'm sure I saw a bunch of people in the chat were begging for the Falcons to load up on the trade deadline. It doesn't work.
It's not the same thing.
That way in football,
it's not the same thing. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, it was it's been a hell of a year to beat the Dodgers in the NLCS. That's a great accomplishment, and the battery is going to be rocking this week.
Oh yeah, very excited to hear about that because I can't watch it on TV, as I said before. I'm forbidden. So hopefully it's good that they come away with the win. That would be very exciting stuff. Thanks again for that $10, George. Really appreciate that. Yeah, guys, I'm Kevin Knight at Falcoholic Kevin. Look for my stuff on thefalcoholic.com. Probably a little quiet this week because I got other stuff going on, but there will be stuff there. We will be back on Wednesday at 8:10 p.m. Eastern, as we always are. We'll see what sort of special guests Evan can cook up for us this week. He's been on a hot streak, so at some point, we're probably going to not have someone as impressive, but, we're going to do our best. We're doing our best for you guys out there.
Oh, just Terry Fontenot this week?
Oh, okay. Oh, Matt Ryan. Oh, that's boring. Yeah, no, you have to get Julio Jones to come on, even though he's no longer with the team. Then we'll be impressed. So that's the bar now.
I'm sure Julio will be nursing an injury in a few weeks where he can't practice.
Jesus. You're doing that this week.
Too soon, man. Oh man, I still sorry about that one. But again, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Please do like and subscribe. As I said, follow the show on Twitter at Falcoholic Live. Check us out on Patreon and on Discord, that sort of stuff. All the links to that stuff is in the show description. Thanks so much for tuning in with us, guys. Enjoy the rest of your football Sunday. We will see you again on Wednesday for the next episode of the Falcoholic Live. Enjoy the win, guys. Enjoy the Braves if you're a fan as well. Have a great night, folks.